You are listening to the Short Convos podcast. Go.
We're rocking, we're rolling, we're rolling, we're rocking.
We're rocking, we're rolling. As Miralai here, I'm going to swap it on you. I'll go first.
Yeah.
As Miralai here, Short Convos podcast, and with my dear good friend, Mr.
JC Warrior Cashman. Remember, we are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on many other things, aren't we? You normally say that a bit. So make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, you share, and do all of those wonderful things that is wonderful about social media, not just scroll and look at the crap.
What is this T-shirt you're wearing, Mr. Cashman?
I thought you would ask, actually. I
am going to ask. I caught my eye.
My brother-in-law, he's got the Dolphin pub. He runs in Shrewsbury, and this is his pub.
Very cool.
And he got someone to do a little logo, and that's George sitting in the Dolphin fried chicken.
Yeah, for anyone who can't see who's on the audio version, it's very slick T-shirt. Check out the Dolphin pub if you're in area.
Shrewsbury.
There we go. Little plug for Mr. George. Awesome stuff. I have a question for you this week, and it's not how are you? It's something a bit different. I got asked by someone who's listened to a few episodes of our podcast. He was like, "What genre is your podcast?" And I actually thought, well, that's actually a pretty good question to ask, because I don't know if we ever clearly defined the genre of this podcast, if we even could.
Is it dance? Is it rock and roll? Is it jazz?
Comedy? I don't know. I would say that the closest thing it can be is a personal development podcast, in terms of like what the majority of our content generally is us reflecting on trying to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like if you have one of those drop-down options, like when you get car insurance, you've got to pick one because it won't let you go on. Then, personal development. I think, that's
light-hearted personal development. To be fair, since we try not to take ourselves too seriously too much of the time.
No
good. Well, I'm glad I cleared that up. Also, if he asks or if he listens to this episode, that's what you're listening to, people.
Yeah. Well, comment, ask on the actual, thingies, and then,
Yeah, let us know what you think we are, and then we can try and figure it out as we go along.
For sure. I think this is quite an authentic, it is an authentic catch-up this week, and not that it isn't always, but usually we talk quite a bit in the week, be it a message or something. And you sent us a message, a more lengthy message the other day that would usually have a few replies. And basically, because of the week, it was, I think I gave you 2 emojis back. And we all know where we're at. But how's your week?
My week has been good. My wife put a little plan together, tricked me, and it was successful. She was getting a little bit concerned because I haven't tended to venture out of the house much other than for essentials. So I'd go out and do the food shop if necessary, go out to do whatever I need to do. But other than that, I weren't going, like you were saying, about going to town and walking around the high street. It just wasn't going to happen. So she booked me a barber's appointment. I have a real
we can see. If you're on the audio version, as is.
I am trimmed. I am tidied up. And then while I was out there, I thought, you know what? I haven't had my favorite coffee from my favorite coffee shop in a long time. I'm going to pick one of those up on the way back. Got a coffee, ran into some people I knew in the area, had a little catch up. And for a brief moment, felt like I was living a normal life in the normal world. But what it did do is it brought me to terms with everything, because I think I've been resisting change, which is what I wanted to talk a little with you about. I feel like I've been resisting change, which is inevitable and which you can't avoid. And this was it was a day where I was like, okay, things are different, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just different, and we just have to adapt. Don't know if you've experienced anything like this recently.
No, nothing at all, actually. It's been all... It's actually really resonating. Exactly. I was trying to I like words, and I was trying to work out a word to explain how I'm feeling at the moment. I couldn't quite nail it. I'm definitely in a planning. It's funny you say, Anne, about a plan. I'm definitely in a planning stage with this whole situation. We've now got some dates. for things being to reopen, people are going back to work and everything else. Definitely planning, it's requiring our attention. We have to plan to go back. We have to, put physical documents out there and everything else. And I was thinking the other day, it's almost like I could explode, but that wasn't the right way of putting it. But today, Lauren actually said it, my other better half, I'm frazzled. I'm frazzled. I feel like there's a current that's going through me at the moment. And, when they have to upgrade the fibre for broadband, I feel my fibre is lacking a little bit at the moment. Too much current is going through me. And, I just feel a bit frazzled, if I'm all honest about it at the moment. But I know it's going to get somewhere. I know it's going to power something.
Yeah, it's just one of them times where you've got to sprint for a little while and then you'll get to slow down a little bit later. But at the minute, you're in a sprint phase. But to be fair, not that we've been stagnant by any means, but it's definitely been a slower pace than what we're used to.
No.
No?
Not at all. Not at all. I have 3 kids, Laz. Decided to take Canberra
slow
apart.
Doesn't happen. Fair.
No,
yeah, I forget.
It's a weird thing. It's we've spoken about time, haven't we? Time travel and all of that on here before. It's time's very relative, isn't it? And time at the moment doesn't seem to have its same matter, if that's the right word. Like, for instance, I'll go to do something, and purely because of the nature of how we're living at the moment, for instance, just as an example, the kids being around, I go to do something and 20 other things distract me from doing it. One of which needs immediate, and you have to give attention to it, say the kid, and then some days you never get back round to what you actually set out to do. So it's not as though I'm busier in a sense of the pace of life is going faster. It's just, I think there's more, back to what I was saying down that line, there's just more happening, I feel, at the moment.
A lot coming in at the same time. Yeah, I guess it's also where people are working from home and we are working from home, it's harder to compartmentalize things. Like you said, everything kind of crossing over one another, falling on top of each other. Whereas, it's not you're at work and therefore you're at work, because now you're at work, which is at home, which is with the kids, which is with the wife, and it's all meshing over.
Yeah. Exactly. And I just want to pick up, actually, you just said normal. I said about like tired and hungry and those kind of words. I just don't like. I don't like sorry, and I don't like normal. I don't like normal, which is why whenever you see me say normal, I give bunny ears. It's always in quotation marks, because I'm not a fan of normal either. No,
you're putting a box on something when you call it normal.
Yeah, I've trained myself now, instead of saying normal, I say usual, because my usual is awesome. That's my benchmark. Normal to me is like flatline, is like just going from day to day, and that's boring. It's like usual, my usual, but normal in speech marks, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because you can't evolve from normal, can you? Because if it's normal, then what's the need to go to anything else? So, and the amount of stuff now that people would definitely not call normal, even let's say 10 years ago. I agree. Normal's a bad word. Don't use that word.
Don't use that word. No, we scrap that word. What word?
Scrap that word.
Don't even know the word now.
Don't even know. Yeah. It's unusual.
Zen, we've been reading Poppy and I have been doing a Wisdom Wednesday and reading a book online for our members to enjoy. So it's a really good karate book. It's got. Do you want to get the bell out? Has he got a proper bell this week?
I had it ready. I was so on it.
That's like a martial art bell as well.
Thank you for noticing.
And so we read Wisdom Wednesday, a karate book. It's a great little book. It's written in a way that, like, probably a 5-year-old can understand, but it's got some depth to an adult. And basically, it's a page at a time with the character, the Japanese character, and the meaning of the word. And the main words associated, or what you would associate to martial arts. I can't remember the actual word because it wasn't Zen. In the word we were talking about, it was Budo. We were talking about Budo and the way of training martial arts in Budo rather than a real old way of doing it. It's just a fighting art, but more of a spiritual way. And it talks about the pursuit of martial arts much more being about Zen now. And I think, like, reading this book, it's interesting. It just highlights things that you're already practicing or things that you already do, but just makes you think about it a little bit more or makes you want to reinforce it a little bit more. So, because Zen isn't a religion, is it? Like, we've spoken about religion and things, so we're not sort of preaching a Bible or a book or something. It's just a way of being, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if a lifestyle choice is the right word for it, but it's just something you incorporate into the way you view the world and go about things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of being at that peace with everything kind of thing I'm getting from it is no matter what happens, whatever it is, you're at peace with it kind of thing. So you're not then angry just because something happened against you, which might have even been out of your control. And you accept joy and happiness and that, but you don't get carried away with it, that when that goes, you then plummet into, a darkness kind of thing. It's finding sort of that Zen place. So I thought bringing it up was quite relevant to how we talked about a genre of what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say for anyone who finds Zen a little too Eastern, because I think some people, if you're not into the martial arts, you might find a lot of this stuff a bit hard to digest because it all just sounds a little far away for kind of Western ears. So I think Stoicism, being a Stoic, is kind of the Western equivalent of it. And again, it's about being non-reactive, isn't it? It's about you don't just respond to things because they happen and let your emotions take control of you. You try and view things, like you said, a bit more all-rounded and understand the way things fit in the world, the reasons things are what they are, and everything happens for a reason and stuff along those lines. Easier said than done, though.
Oh yeah,
which I think
it's like a punch or a kick. It's a practice, isn't it? It's mastered.
You build a tolerance for it, don't you? I think you strengthen your ability to be Zen in bigger and more dramatic situations.
Yeah, or have tools and quotations or exercises or just practice, isn't it, to get yourself there. Yes. And I noticed something, and I spoke to Lauren about it, and she noticed it too. And I wonder if, because we don't live local to each other, but I wonder if in your neck of the woods you've noticed it. Mondays is a quiet day. I don't know if you've observed this, but I go to the dojo every Monday in the morning, at the moment dropping the kids to school. And I don't know if it's a knock-on effect to lockdown and everything else, but like we would go out at lockdown for essentials, of course, and it would be like a ghost town. You go out on a Monday morning, where we are anyway, it's like you're going out in lockdown. It's very eerily quiet. And then by Wednesday, get to Thursday, you go out and you're queuing to get onto the main road. There's people on the high street. And I don't know if it's something I've just observed or picked up, but it just seems a quieter start to the week.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think you're the same as me. I'm sure I've heard you say this, that Monday's your favorite day of the week.
Yeah, it gets the week going, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm the same. But I have felt that Mondays have not had the same kick to them or something. Like, it's not been what a Monday normally is. And I haven't noticed it necessarily with other people around. Like I said, I've really been not going out much to even pick up on it. But yeah, I get what you're meaning. But I guess this is going back to what we were saying about time not being quite what it was at the moment. Everything's a little more fragmented, for want of a better word.
And out of place and everything. And it kind of leads me on to, I'm just noticing things that are, for a better word, odd, or maybe a change things. And I wondering, are we getting to a point now, like I've read it and seen people saying it, where the effect of the lockdown and the effect of the social distance and everything is potentially having more damage than the virus is or could. Like they've been able to subdue the virus, and it could have, been horrendous. So they've done what they needed to do, right or wrong, good or bad, however they've done it. What I mean as an example by it, we were coming back from the dojo the other day, and on a main road, but where, like a main road has like a cycle lane. So it's only a 2-lane, one way, the other way carriageway. So it's like 40 miles an hour, whatever it is, 30 because of the lamppost. And there's a bicycle lane. There's an older lady in a buggy, like a mobility scooter, going the wrong way down the road against traffic in the bicycle lane to avoid people to socially distance.
Right, yeah.
And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm alert and I'm driving, but you could have an Arctic and it wouldn't necessarily get round her if there was a cyclist and everything else. And is this situation of making sure you're socially distanced and everything starting to create more hazard than it's trying to protect, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's definitely getting up there. It's funny you said that story. I saw a jogger go round a car to avoid other people on the pavement. So he then jogged into the road to go around a car. And I swear to God, I've never seen someone so close to getting hit as a car then went past him. You like probably took the hair off of his arm from the mirror. He was that close. And I looked at it. I remember just standing still and thinking, oh God, I'm about to watch someone get hit by a car. And you could see in his face, he kept running. You could really see the panic in his eyes, where he was so focused and scared of being too close to these people on the pavement that he'd lost all sense of what he was doing and just ran out. And think what other situation where he would just randomly run out into the middle of a road where there's cars. People seem to be losing a little bit of their common sense in that sense.
Maybe we can talk about this and why it happens, but you were saying just then about, a close shave, someone nearly getting caught by a car. It makes me remember the closest one I've seen is my dad used to sell paintings in Bayswater Road in London. And it was a fast road, as in it was middle of London. People would want to go where they're going quite quick. And where he was positioned, like you'd have your paintings on the railing, there was a pedestrian crossing just up ahead. And you used to see like people jumping lights and just silliness day to day when he was there. But there was this one occasion, this guy was clearly, you've all probably had it, where someone walks into the road not giving a shit. Basically, they're the pedestrian and they're or whatever their attitude. You know what I mean?
You're not going to hit me with your car.
Kind of thing. This guy came into the road, and the person in the car must have had a similar thought. You're not going to get out. And it became a chase of who was going to get to their person. He hit the guy's heel as he crossed the road and took his trainer off. And it was that tight, and it hit his shoe off, and it was like, wow. So there was enough force to catch him with that, because he was out in that fast, and this idiot decided to run at that time. So so what's happening there then? So you're talking about something, and then I haven't thought about that probably for 30 years, because I was a young child when I saw it happen. So why did that come up?
Well, I assume you got triggered by
so what's going on? Like, what brings that up? I'm like,
so actually no, this is a learning tool. So for people, there's a guy who remembered the longest amount of the number for pi. So although we know pi is 3.14, it actually just goes on and on and on and on and on. It's a never-ending number. But they've got it now. I think they've worked it out down to something crazy, the amount of numbers of pi. And someone remembered it off memory up to this crazy, crazy number. He's got the world record for it. And they asked him about his process for just, basically building this memory. And it's about memory through association, because it's our natural way of remembering things. So the reason that this has flicked up this old memory for you is that your brain has attached it to whatever it was that I brought up. So my thing about that was, I probably said something along the lines of, that was this close, or it was a hair away, or something like that. And it's clicked something in an old memory because we've got these memories in the back of our brain that are kind of like, imagine them like boxes in the attic. They're covered in dust, and you have to like blow the dust off to even see what's in them. And we can make associations. So if you ever want to remember things, and you might know stuff like this through learning things like music, you learn word associations to help trigger the memory to bring things up to your brain. So it's word associated memory. That's what's going on.
That's triggered another box that's opened with a memory when I was at school, and it was in assembly. And it's probably the only assembly I can remember, because maybe it was the only teacher that managed to get through to us at any time. And they did this exact exercise, and they wanted us to remember 10 items. So you had to remember a golf club, a teddy bear, a toothbrush, all random items in a certain order as well. And when he says it straight away, you can't remember. Past 4, it's like you forget what number 1 was. And then he said, all right, now think of all the rooms in your house, from the bathroom to your bedroom to the wardrobe. Think of 10 different places. May start at your front door, and put the item that I say at that point at the door, and then go into the next room and put the next item in the next room. And then we went around the whole house, and we were able to remember all the items by association, like you said.
Yeah, but it's powerful. And I think a lot of the stuff that we experience like that, where things flick up and you go, oh, I haven't thought about that, or I haven't heard that for a long time. That's what that is. And it's the same reason why we have real powerful associations with certain smells or certain songs or certain tastes, because they bring us back to places very suddenly. You eat a certain meal from a certain restaurant, and it just brings you back to your childhood or whatever it is.
Time,
Ratatouille. You've seen that film with the kids?
Yes,
yeah. When he eats the thing and it zaps him back to his childhood.
Yes, yeah. I know the scene now. Yeah.
I think it's those kind of things.
So, because my brain is now like getting squidgy and thinking about this, we talked about like soul and mind. So where is the memory then? Where is the science to the memory? So is it possible to bring up every experience that we've ever memorized?
There's conflicting information on that as far as I know. So there is a school of thought that our brain is not capable of deleting anything. So everything is in there somewhere, because it's like almost like a hard drive. You write it onto your brain, so it's somewhere in there. It might be really, really impossible to dig out, but if it's been put in, you can't rub it out unless you get brain damage, in which case then obviously that bit of your brain dies, that bit of the hard drive's broken. And then others say that we've got a literally like a hard drive, a very limited capacity. And once you exceed capacity, the brain starts deleting things by priority of what's least important, and how it works that out, I have no idea. But, and this is why stuff we don't remember, and we say, oh, I don't have the memory space to remember that. I don't know what that is, because in your mind, it's not a priority. It's not something that you're going to hang on to. Whereas other bits, people are like, how do you know that? And it's just one of the things that's stuck in my brain forever.
But where is the memory stored? So
it is. I can't tell you exactly, but it's there is a section of the brain. There is an area of the brain specifically for memory. There is one section. So if you damage that section, which is where you get people who suffer from amnesia, it's because of that exact area of the brain being damaged. So but are you asking if it's in the flesh or if it's in the liquid of the brain?
100 years from now, they're going to find a fossilized brain, and they're going to be able to layer it out and then stick a couple of magnets on it, and it goes into a supercomputer that have all the memories. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
I mean, if they do, how cool would that be?
Yeah,
I think that's a film to make, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume that memory is pretty dead by that stage, pretty dried out. I think like you said, you need a squidgy brain for that to work. Brain has to still be wet.
Or is it not in the brain?
Well,
is
where
it
else
something
would
completely unconceivable? So I can remember reading something about someone explaining the chances of extraterrestrials, like aliens, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying, just take thought to this, that there are aliens here right now among us. Every day you're walking past one. But we don't have the process in our mind, like an X-ray picks up X-rays, gamma ray picks up gamma rays, etc. We don't have the senses or the process in our mind to actually fabricate them being there.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So what if a memory is in something we can't even fabricate that is there?
I mean, yeah, possible, but the only thing I would say is that we have done the scans, but we have the ability to, let's say, me say to you, think about your childhood and scan your brain and see it do very specific things.
Yeah,
where if I did it to 10 people, the same activity would be present.
But what if that energy is coming from somewhere else? So, for instance, lights, take a fairy lights.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where the bulb lights up. You can see you could photograph that on and off switch, but it's not the fairy light that brings the energy, is it? You have to have it plugged into some source. So what if the memory is coming from somewhere else?
But I think the fairy light is the brain and the power is the body. Because once you die, then the brain dies and the bulb goes out. But I hear what you're saying.
What if that power goes somewhere else after you die?
Well, and that we don't know. But there we go. So the power might go somewhere else. What you're asking what goes somewhere else. Because do the memories go with whatever goes if it goes somewhere? Yeah. Now we're talking. So now I don't know because then you're saying that memories are part of the, let's use the word soul for the sake of everyone kind of following along. Because then if we know where the memories are, does that mean we now know where the soul is?
So I last week we said about things that have affected us, or it might have even been the week before now, about things that have affected us massively in our life. And one of the things I said was losing my parents. And for instance, my dad was my best friend. There's the person I spent the most time with, everything else. And I hold on to a romantic idea that he's beyond the veil now. His spirit, energy, memory, whatever it is living beyond the veil. And it's just we don't have a way of crossing over. But maybe every now and then there's a rainbow, and that's him communicating from behind the veil. But as time has gone on and I've educated myself on different things, spoken to different people, I'm thinking actually less and less of that your spirit, your energy goes somewhere, but when it goes, it leaves behind what it was, who it was, the identity in that. But I'm caught in a conundrum. I don't know. I like the idea of being romantic about it. Yeah,
but well, no, I think what gets left behind is your ripple effect on the world. So, for example, a bit of your dad is left in you and in your kids and in everyone he's ever spoke to and touched, because it's affected everyone differently. And he's reached, everyone reaches a different amount of people. We couldn't ever comprehend how far out our actions reach. And I think that's what you leave behind. And again, when people ask about like the meaning of life, I think that's part of it, is to just make sure you leave a nice ripple. You leave a good touch on the world, so that when you go to wherever we go next, if we go anywhere, you've done your part. You've left your stamp on this world.
That's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? Quite
I think so. Yeah.
And then, so this then gets me on to time. And again, I can't remember if we've discussed this on here or even discussed it at all, about the perception of time. And we're talking about speed of light, which is a record of time, isn't it? It's not a speed, it's how long something takes to travel somewhere. And I can remember reading again a while ago, and it was something that really resonated with me, because I'm not a religious man, but I have spiritual, I suppose, ideas. So I wouldn't say I'm an agnostic, and this kind of plays on that. And this person was saying about time. And from the moment we are born, we see time as a linear thing, so a start and end. So the most significant thing is birth and death. You know, it's a start and a go. And then pretty much everything we do in our life has a time relevance to it. So watching a movie, reading a book, all of the arts, all of those kind of things, there's a beginning, the story, and then the end. And what he was saying, what he was trying to, I suppose, prove in his ways of thinking is, what if time was a pool? So instead of light here of all your life, like a chain of light, what if each of those lights was just in a pool, in a, you know, just about, and we're only seeing the perspective of it by jumping around, because we can only perceive it as in growing old, start and finish. So, for instance, take an old DVD. So we don't really have DVDs anymore, do we? So maybe some of the kids don't know what it even is. But you'd have a disc if you wanted to watch a film, and you had a player, and you put the disc in the player. When you put the disc in the player, all of the film is already there. The end, the beginning, the whole story, even the bonus content is already it's already done, and you just so happen watch it from start to end. But if you wanted to, you could jump to any chapter of the film and pick up from where you left off, or whatever else. And he was trying to get the point across, is what if life was actually like that? So I think it started tying in with like time travel, and then blah blah, and then going off on a proper tangent. Ever come across that concept or thought about that yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we can only perceive time, I assume, linearly, because that's how we experience time.
Yes.
We're never going, well, never in our lifetime, we're not going to be capable of experiencing time any differently than it moving forward.
Why not? What about this conversation? What about this conversation right now? We then suddenly go, boom. And
if we do, then you know, winning to us, Nobel Prize, I think, is in the horizon. So I think it's a struggle, and I think this is the reason for a lot of religion and stuff like that. Is it's so incomprehensible how insignificant our time is here, how small it is, and it's nice to think of this eternal heavenly space that we go to after, which quite frankly sounds like a nightmare, right? Because you eternity of anything is probably going to get tiresome at some point. Like, like 100 billion years of something, you're probably going to want something else. So it's weird that we'd think that this little span of time is this, and then after that there's this eternal span of time, which is just meant to be all hunky-dory or really bad, depending on what you did in this little chunk. I like the idea of traveling about your time. Like you said, you visit, you're late a bit, and then come back to the middle. And does it necessarily affect anything if you punch in and out of time like that?
No, this is what...
like, it's a DVD. The DVD doesn't change whether you watch it from middle to end. You might just spoil the ending for yourself.
But it wouldn't be an ending, would it?
Well, no, I guess not, because you could just rewind it and start it again.
And I've found, especially with the competing side of things in recent times, I've found the journey to be as much fun as the ending. And in some cases, the journey has been more fun, because the ending, it's like Empire Strikes Back, the baddies win. Yes. And it's like the journey is part of it. So what if that itself is being able to perceive time differently, being able to enjoy the journey, right? What if we're already doing that by practicing that, rather than always wanting to get to the end goal, the end thing, to get to Cornwall, to get wherever, but to actually enjoy the journey? What if that is itself time travel?
Well, so now, and this, you're going to like this. I saw this quote the other day, which I'm sure you're going to like. And it was on a video. It was Bon Jovi was playing one of his classic hits, and everyone was commenting about how he'd aged. And they were all like getting a little bit sad because they're like, God, this is, Bon Jovi, rock god. And now he's like this old man, bless him, still going, but he's on his way to the next place. And someone commented below, and it was such a nice quote. It said, I'd love to go back and live life again, not so that I could change anything, but so I could feel certain things twice over.
Yeah. I've heard not the same quote in the same context, but something very similar. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're saying here, isn't it? And that's why you buy the DVD, because you want to enjoy that film and certain scenes and certain clips over and over again, because they make you feel whatever they make you feel. And we've all, like you said, you've got certain journeys and certain moments in life where you want to you'd like to do that again. Not to change it, but just to feel it again.
I think that's what I pursue as, I think that's what we're talking about. Some people get hard on over money and get hard on over, was that like, no, it was probably a couple of weeks ago now. See, the whole time is just changing. That's what I pursue. I pursue that reliving, I suppose, is it reliving it? It's that kick out of life, I suppose.
Yeah, kick out of reality, feeling it, experiencing it for yourself rather than always watching other people experience it, wondering what it would be like.
Yeah, to be there, do that, and that.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting you say that, because we were always talking about recording our conversations long before thinking about podcasting it. We just kind of said we should record this stuff, like keep this stuff. Yeah. I guess that's it, right? So because we'd have moments where we'd have a conversation, then we'd both just sit there going, yeah. You want to kind of be able to get back to those spots from time to time.
Yeah, and share it, and
share it.
We've had one of those conversations there, haven't we?
We have. My soul belly is bursting today. I'm going to loosen my soul buckle I'm that full. That was nice, and we have a bell, so that's progress.
That's even better, yeah. Everyone got to keep the convo going, yeah. Keep the convo going.
Comment below. Get involved. We now upload clips as well to YouTube. So if you haven't got the attention span for this whole thing, if you made it to the end, you do, but I'd have no idea, not a clue. Then you can watch the clips as well. And we will see you on the next one.
Peace out.
Peace out, dudes.